can come out?
Yeah?
Not gonna open it now, but.
No.
Yeah, we got a couple more at my house. If I find one, I'll throw it your way.
Oh, I don't want it.
No?
I got smaller than me.
Oh, okay.
Plastic.
Yeah, that's plastic.
Is that plastic?
Yep, that's all plastic. It's a nice model, though.
Mine's smaller than that, quite a bit.
Do you see the one that Ben came in with? The big foam one?
No, is that on here?
It's out in the shop. I think it's still out there. It's bigger than that.
Yeah, he told me about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's actually supposed to fly. That one doesn't fly.
Okay.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
So I just want to start off with, just to
Well,
say,
the very first question, and no matter who asks the question, just look at Chris.
just
Yeah.
look over here.
Yeah. The very first question is for purposes of when I'm re-watching this footage. Can you just spell your last name?
Spell it?
Yeah.
Digney.
Okay. Very good.
Okay. So now what?
All right. So, first question. Tell us about yourself, like, when you were born, where, and just a little bit about where you grew up.
Yeah. Well, I was born in Bridgeport, and I stayed there until I went to Texas with transport in 1949.
What
Yeah.
date were you born?
1920, October. I'm 90 now.
I wouldn't know it.
My legs know it, though.
How did you get in aviation and just the aviation business and industry?
Well, when I was a kid, I used to come over to the airport here on a bike every Sunday. There was a big hill where that parking lot is now. We got to watch the planes from the hill. And the runways were real short. They were just on grass, I guess. And that's how I got interested in the airplanes. And then I got a job with Sikorsky in 41. And we worked on the Vindicators. They were going to France and England. That's where they got two of the American ones. And then I ran out of that project, and we went on the Corsairs in 42. Well, first I went to deflectors, making deflectors for the engines upstairs in Sikorsky's. And then they started building the Corsairs in late 41, 42. And they put me down in the Department 23 in the wings, center sections. That's all I made here, I think, at that time for the Corsair. I think they may have made some tail sections too. Most of the stuff was built outside and brought in here and assembled on the airplanes.
Farmed out, yeah.
Yeah, the Armstrong Cork made them down in Pennsylvania, some parts. And other parts were made all over different parts of the country. But I didn't keep track of them.
Now, what was it like for you working in this large factory? I mean, it was work. It was work, of course, but was it exciting? Did it feel like you were doing something important?
Oh, there were a lot of women there at the time. That made it more exciting. But there was more women than men eventually. A lot of guys got drafted, but a lot of guys are still there. And we did all the hard work, And they used to drill the skins from the back side, and one of them, they used to use a drill about a foot and a half long. And one of them got me in the knee, in the leg, right through the panel there. I still got a scar, but it wasn't nothing serious. Big, long, 18-inch drill or more, 41 drill.
You remember the girl that did that?
Oh, no, it was more than one. Eleanor Ravasi was one of them. And there was a Peggy Haig and Dora something. I forget most of their names. But there's a lot of them there. We used to go out, they didn't, we didn't punch the clock when we come in or left. So every once in a while we'd take 15 minutes ahead of time, we'd go off, we'd go over to Lordship, they had a beer joint over there. It's still there, different name.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have a couple of beers and we get back about 15 minutes late and go back to work.
You'd still be on the clock.
Well, we didn't have to punch the clock, just when we come in and left at night.
Oh, okay.
We worked nights most of the time. But
how did you like get the job at Sikorsky? Like, was it, you know, tell us about how, like,
well, that was the war was getting.
look at Chris, sorry.
Yeah.
That's okay, yeah. So just pretend I said that
I went
question.
down there one time and they weren't hiring. So when the war started, you know, 41, they were looking for help. So I got pretty easy. His name was Reed Banks, was the employment manager. And he hired me. He died just recently. I guess they're all dead by now, except me.
Well, not all of them.
But most of the people I know then, they're all gone. But, we kept pretty busy. We worked 10 hours a night. Sometimes we worked even on New Year's Day when the night went, we had to work one time. But they wanted to get a lot of airplanes out fast. We got at 10 a day at the end, 44, 45. And then in 45, when they won the war, well, they laid off all the girls. And they sent me over, and other guys over to experimental. We started working on jets. The Pirate and then the Cutlass and the Crusader. And then I went down to Dallas with them in 49. And it was all jets. They had some Corsairs down there too. They were building for the Korea War. They call them night fighters. They had radomes on the wing. And they built, I think, quite a few of them. Then they built some for France. They built 94 for France. They took some of those into China. I guess they took the rest of France. They built quite a few here. Most of them were built down in Dallas.
I mean, it is. Do you find it kind of interesting that the Corsair lasted, you know, longer than?
Oh yeah,
any,
well, 11 years they built those. Most of any other military plane, I think, except the bigger planes. And then they took them all to Arizona and parked them there with some 51s. And they finally, you know, they melt them down, destroyed them because they had no use for them. They couldn't afford to run them with all that fuel in there, those big tanks. But
what aircraft do you think you had most connection to? I mean, you did work on all the way.
I only worked on a Corsair during the war, 4 years. We did the same thing every day, over and over. It got very boring, you know, do the same thing for 4 years. On the center section, the landing gear structure there, on the beam. They built the beams there, the big jigs they had. But down in Texas, I was always on jets. That was pretty interesting. I went to field service department. I worked for them for 8 years in Maryland, Naval Air Test Center. And John Glenn was flying our plane. It belonged to Transport, but he took it down there to test it. And he was all business. And Alan Shepard was down there too flying him. But he was just the opposite. He's always in the bars. We see him in the bars all the time, but not John Glenn. His family, he brings his family in the hangars there sometimes showing him airplanes. He took it out over the ocean one time, the Crusader. And he was flying low. They never flew so low before, and he fired the guns, and they almost destroyed the outer panel wings. You know, it was made of magnesium, most of the outer panels of the wing. And he got it back all right. They had, you know, put the different wings back then. They beefed them up with aluminum. But he's still alive. But the Shepherd, he died quite a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
What was when you were working on the Corsair, what was your, like, exact task? I know you said you did the same thing over and over.
Yeah, assembly.
So, like, what exactly did you do? Like, what was your task?
Well, we built the section that supported the landing gear. It was built like a battleship, so strong. Real heavy skin and heavy structure. And I worked on that all that time. But it got kind of boring, I'll tell you that. But we had to do it, so we worked 10 hours a day, sometimes, weekends too. But
Was it new seeing? Was it interesting seeing all these women in the workforce all of a sudden?
oh, sure. Yeah, I used to date a couple of them, but they were one of them got married, and the other one drifted off someplace.
So you weren't upset about it.
No, I didn't upset. I liked the job, but it just got boring, all the time. But to get back on the other airplanes, the jets, we did everything. That was.
You were involved heavily with the Crusader.
Oh yeah, Cutlets and the Crusader, even the Pirate. I didn't like that though. It was all balsa wood. The skin was balsa wood, with sandwiched with thin aluminum. And you had a hard time drilling holes in that stuff. Balsa wood. They used to go down to South America someplace and buy the balsa wood down there. Some guy had we go down there all the time and buy it.
Why did you decide to move with Chance Vault when they moved to Dallas?
Well, I could have gone to Sikorsky, I guess, but all my people I worked with were down there, and they liked it down there. So they twisted my arm, and I come down later. I didn't go down right away, so I lost my seniority. And but once I got down there, it was a nice place, except in the summertime. Unless you drank a lot of beer, that made it interesting.
You were telling me a story once about you having a little mishap with your car down the road.
Down there in Texas?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Well, down there you get a lot of dust storms. And if it rains a little bit and it just sprinkles, the road gets like ice, very slippery. So I was going home one time from Dallas. I lived in Grand Prairie where the plant was. That's a nice little town, Grand Prairie. It's right next to Arlington, halfway between Dallas and Fort Worth. But I started sliding on the road, going sideways on dust. It was a Kaiser I had, 48 Kaiser. So I cut the wheels on one side and cut it too much, and I had to go back the other way. Then I finally went over the embankment, about 20-foot embankment. No, about 10 foot, I guess. And the car went end over end, and I landed right side up. I didn't get hurt. Didn't get scratched. I had a fifth of whiskey in the trunk. That didn't even get broke. I lost my glasses. I couldn't find the glasses. It might have been under the seat, but I never looked under the seat. And,
but the bottle was okay.
Yeah. And I took the car, they towed it down to a garage, and they rebuilt the car. It was pretty well beat up. And it, like new, they even painted the whole car. And for $350, they did that. That's pretty cheap. The car was, the roof was caved in the top and the hood and a lot of other stuff.
They really wanted the business.
Huh?
They really wanted the business.
Well, things were cheap then. We were making $1.57 an hour, I think, down there at that time. And that was pretty good money, but they were making less than that in the garages. But,
tell us about, do you have any particular, any other particular memories?
Does anything really stand out that was funny? Did you play pranks on your coworkers sometimes, or did something stand out that was significantly funny, or
oh, we probably did, but I don't remember.
like a fond memory of either working up here or in Dallas?
Well, we used to go bowling a lot after work, by 5 o'clock in the morning. The girls were done bowling, and once a week, I guess, we went bowling. But I can't remember too much of anything else.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember any mishaps when you were working with the Corsair? Any maybe a factory accident or Or maybe you saw a Corsair crash lander or anything like that?
Well, I know one guy got killed in the plant there somehow. I think it was here. I forget where it was now. Oh, yeah, the guy got killed down in Maryland, Patuxent River. He was working under the Crusader, and he disconnected the hydraulic line without knowing what it was. When he did that, the whole thing, the gear went up, and he got smashed in that from the landing gear, falling up in the wheel well. He says, "Get me out of here," and then he died right there. Another time, a plane was taken off from the runway at the Patuxent River, and for some reason he went off the runway and he come into the hangar almost. And one of our guys was right inside the door. He got out in a hurry. He didn't get hurt, but the plane was I don't know what plane it was. I forget now. But he hit a fire hydrant, I think. It was a mess.
When did you retire from Chancewa?
I didn't quit. I mean, I didn't retire. I quit. I was working nights all the time. I was working on restoring cars at the same time. So they said, you got to start. They lost the contract to McDonald, not the Phantom. We were supposed to get that contract, but the Phantom had 2 engines, and we only had 1 in the new Crusader. Not, yeah, it was Crusader. But I lost my train of thought now.
I do it all the time. And I'm only 23. It's bad.
You know, you're coming back to the same factory you used to work at today.
Do you feel any? Yeah, is that kind of odd for you that you're back in, like, you know, this, even though you might not have worked?
You mean here?
Yeah.
Oh no, I like to work on a Corsair.
Yeah.
I would work on a helicopter. I hated helicopters to work on. I don't know why. I had no wings. It's the kind of wing I like to work on. This Mark over there, he'll stay all day and all night. He loves to work on it. Everything is hard. Everything's hard. It takes so long. You know, everything's corroded. You know, and it's hard to get stuff off. And he likes it. I like it too, but not as much as he does. Because it's new to him, you know.
Are you teaching him anything?
Well, he's pretty smart as it is, but I show him a lot of give him a lot of points.
Do you get a sense of fulfillment? Like, is it peculiar working on this plane that you I mean, you know, you produced it, you were part of building it originally?
I can't believe I'm working on a Corsair again, you know. But it's really interesting. But there's so much corrosion. It's going to take forever. They want it back in 2 years. Put it back in the pedestal. If they put it back in the pedestal, they let us know. I'll just quit right then.
It's the best
I
line.
mean, why waste your time? It'll be back like it was in a few years.
So your formal opinion would be not to put it back outside?
Oh, sure. I'd quit if I had to go. If they tell me they're going to go back in the pedestal, I just quit right there. It's going to take another 5 years at least, maybe more. A lot of work there yet. But that Drew, he's a good guy to work for. He's pretty sharp. He's out now for a vacation, I think, a couple of weeks.
He'll be back in like a week or two, I think.
Yeah.
But
He's fussy, you know, and he that's the way I am too. I like to get things the way they're supposed to be.
Exactly, right? Get the job done the right way.
Yeah. But no matter how long it takes, it's got to be done right. Especially that cockpit. Well, that's a terrible job. All its hydraulic lines got to come out.
If you could restore one part of the airplane, what part do you think you'd like to work on the most?
Oh, it don't matter. Any part, but I like to work on what I'm working on now. Center section, because I worked on it before. I know more about it. But it's all the same, even the jets.
Since you worked on that section originally, now that you're going back to it, working on this section again, is it like, do you have a lot of memories flooding back? Is it like, a part of it, you remember it more because you're working with that piece again?
Well, I just can't believe that I'm working on it. I worked on it for so long before. But I like that kind of work. Yeah, the cars too, the same way, working the cars.
Now, did you work on the VS-44 with Joe Lusardo?
No, I never, well, yeah, on the restoration.
Right.
Yeah, we worked 10 years, I was there about, 10 years, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah, we worked on that, and we were the only ones that worked so many hours. He would work, we'd come in at 7 o'clock in the morning, and leave about maybe 2, sometimes 3. And most of the guys come in just 2 days a week, and they'd be there drinking coffee and eating stuff for a couple hours, and they go home. He and I and a few other guys did most of the work.
What did you do mostly on that restoration? A little bit of everything, or did
Well,
you?
I did all the seats inside. I had to make those from scratch. There was no seats in there, and they're made of wood and balsa wood too. But I used like plywood and different wood, and then we had to have them bolstered. And I worked on the structure too. But they took every bit of skin off the whole airplane. I don't know why they want to do all that, but they did. And it was, then it all got back on, a lot of riveting. And they got the riveters from over in the school over there, where 3-wing is now, I guess. And some of them rivets were terrible.
They didn't know what they were doing?
No. Well, they never did it before. But it didn't matter too much because you couldn't see them. But they're still safe, you know. But, that was quite a project. We liked that over there.
That was a big
Because
project.
Sikorsky could give everything we needed. They'd get it right away.
Hey, we're not so lucky right now.
No. And the building was heated. So it was a big tent, rubberized. It was pretty well heated too.
There was a couple other airplanes restored at the same time there too.
Yeah, they had an old Sikorsky World War I fighter, I think. One with and something else that I forget now.
I think it was a helicopter. It was a Sikorsky.
Yeah, I guess it was. Yeah, yeah, I think it was.
I mean, I remember I was a kid, but I remember going through that shop.
Yeah,
I'm sure I passed by it and I didn't even know.
yeah.
I remember Joe Lusardo telling me a bunch of stories, like, because he worked in the galley and in the the bathrooms on the flying boat, and
Yeah.
he told me some stories on how they had to cast fiberglass sink bowls because they only had one, or there was
Well, he worked up in mostly in the cockpit, and where the kitchen was like, a little small kitchen. He was always getting hurt. We took the floors out, you know, and had bulkheads, so you had to step over them. He would just go right and fall right in the bottom of the ship. He'd get all cut up, his legs. One day he spilled a whole can of paint in there, gallon of paint. But he really worked though. But he painted the whole cockpit area black, spray paint, and he wouldn't put a mask on. He did it all morning one day, painting the whole thing with spray paint, no mask. And we had to all get out of the ship so bad. The fumes, you know. He'd stay in there and paint there all morning.
What would you say is your overall, like your goal, your wish for this?
Yeah, what do you see? What would you like to see? As the end result with this. What are you looking forward to with this, with the restoration of this Corsair?
Well, I'm up here before it's done. I'll probably be dead by then. I'm 90 now, so I can't live too much more. Although I feel young, but the age catches up with you. But it'll probably still be there when I'm gone.
I bet the trick is the feeling young, and the trick is the feeling young. And I see you up on that wing, every week.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't look like you're slowing down any bit, and that's
No.
and that's inspiring.
The only thing my legs are, I can't walk as fast as I used to.
Mm-hmm.
otherwise I don't feel at home.
If we ever had the money come down and the authorization to do it, would you like to see this Corsair fly?
No.
No.
No, it's not that good yet. It won't be that good when they get it done. There's too much corrosion. You can't get rid of all of it. You got to patch it up. I wouldn't want that to fly.
You'd be fearful of it.
Huh?
You'd be fearful that it would.
I wouldn't want to get under it. That's what I told Igor's son one time. They're going to take it up on a helicopter to the museum up in the Bradley Field. They're going to take the wings off, the flying boat. They're going to fly it up on a helicopter. So I told Igor's son, I said, I wouldn't want to be under that thing. It's heavy, well, the wings would be off, but it'd still be flopping around. Sergei, his name was.
Yeah.
Sergei, yeah.
A bit of a deep question, I suppose. Why do you like planes so much?
Well, I've always been interested in airplanes.
What led to your interest in planes? Was there anything specific that ever happened?
Well, I used to make models when I was a kid. A few of them. Then, as they say, come over every week over here and watch them fly around to land and take off.
Did you ever get a chance to go flying in one of them?
Yeah, I flew with Clarence Chamberlain. He had two big Curtiss Condors. They were built in the mid-20s. It was bombers. But then they converted into passenger planes, and he bought two of them. He was here in Bridgeport in 1937, I think it's September, and he was taking people up around the city. So I flew in one of them. I don't know if he was the pilot or not. There was two of them.
How much did it cost to go for a ride?
Well, it must have meant a couple of dollars, $3. Just around the city of Bridgeport. And I flew in the Detroit, single engine plane. The guy had a bakery, and if you saved 50 bread wrappers, you get a free ride over the city. The Stinson Detroiter, I think it was. Nice little airplane. And my last ride was, in the big plane was from Presque Isle, Maine down to Boston in the DC-3. And then I flew in the other planes out here sometimes, as passage on weekends. I have a picture of the airport in 1937. It was in a newspaper. And I cut it out, and I got it someplace in the house, but I can't find it. I'm looking to bring it in here. I can't find it. I haven't found it yet.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
It's short runways, just two of them, and they were grass, I think.
Now, did you ever meet anybody, like, famous people walk through here, like, Sikorsky and Lindbergh and Juan Tripp, or, even the test pilots for the Corsair, like Rex Beisel and...
Well, I just saw Sikorsky a couple of times. I don't think I saw anybody else. I don't remember anyway.
What was Sikorsky like?
The what?
What was Sikorsky like? Like, you saw
He was pretty old then. He was pretty old. He came in one day out in the hangar. There was a helicopter there, a big helicopter. I think it was a crane. And a young fellow there, he was out there working at it. And Igor, he says, "How do you like this airplane?" He said, "It's a piece of junk," something like that. He must have insulted Sikorsky, but Sikorsky just ignored him. And he really got chewed out after that. We heard about it.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a good idea to chew out the boss.
His name was Bill Digney, I think. He finally quit and he went to California, and, down near San Diego, I think. I saw him once. He came up here one time.
Did you ever see Sikorsky fly his first helicopter here?
No, I didn't. I used to watch won't got and fly the flying wing, flying pancake, the wooden one.
The yellow one.
Yeah, the old wood.
Now, what did you think of that airplane?
That was quite an airplane. Yeah, I worked on the other one, the big one. It was the same size, but it was a regular airplane. That's the 5U. I worked on it for a couple of days, I think, in where it was built. That's the same hangar.
That one never flew, right?
No, the Navy want to go to jets, for one thing. So they just broke it up. The whole thing, they broke it up.
I heard somewhere that they had a hard time breaking it up. It was so well built.
Yeah, it was a lot of metallite, the big panels. They were also with sandwich material, and that was pretty not very strong. But the panels were so big that didn't matter, you know. They had problems with the gears from the engines to the props. That was the reason they didn't fly it, I think. The other smaller ship, they had small engines, and it was geared up different.
Well, what did you think the first time you ever saw that plane?
I didn't know what to think. It was a nice looking airplane. The ship itself. It was all painted dark blue and had big props on it.
Do you have any thoughts about the legacy of the Corsair, like what it means for
The state, the country.
the country, the town, and like how it's been kind of forgotten in today's world? Do you have any thoughts about that? Anything you want to say about that?
Well, I know when they have shows that they all go to see them, especially like last May or June when they had here. I didn't go that day. I try to keep out of the sun, but I see enough of the airplanes when they're working on it. Down in Dallas, they had a Corsair. We had stripped paint off it, and they painted it bright red, and they gave it to the sales manager to fly. He'd come up to Maryland, across the river. He'd go all over with it. But it looked kind of funny, painted bright red.
It's kind of the opposite of what it's normally made
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
That's something.
But do you find it a little disheartening that it's been kind of, you know,
Not as many people may know the Corsair, or, that seems like that people care about, their favorite sports team more about, if they're winning or not.
Some people aren't interested in airplanes, so they just walk right by it, But other people, they look all over it. It's a nice looking airplane. Of course, all those airplanes that they built were nice looking, except maybe the Pirate. That wasn't too bad. It wasn't underpowered. It had the Westinghouse engine, and that was the first plane they put an afterburner in the fighter, and it went a little faster then. They built about 30 of those, I think.
The first one was originally built here, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, they built quite a few of them here. They built 30 altogether. Some were built down in Dallas.
Now, you never worked on the Kingfisher production line, did you?
No, my brother did.
Tell us a little bit about your brother.
Well, he worked there about a year maybe, and then he got drafted, so he went in service. And he went over to France, and he got killed. And they went up from Marseille up the river to into Germany, and he volunteered to drive a Jeep someplace, and that's when he got killed.
What was he doing when he was working here?
He was riveting on the Kingfisher. That's what he did there. They're upside down, and he wasn't very mechanical like I am, but he did that.
Was he? It's kind of a stupid question, I'm sure, but was he excited when he got drafted, or was he nervous?
He tried to join it, but he tried to get in the Air Force, but they didn't need him in that, I guess, so he finally got drafted. They tried to draft me, but I didn't weigh enough, so I got out of it that way. He was a little heavier than I was. He was younger, but he was heavier.
Now, is that your only other sibling?
I got a sister. She's not as old as I am. She's about 7 years younger.
Is she still with you?
Yeah, I live with her. We both live in the same house. But my aunts and uncle owned it, and they died when she got the house, so I was living someplace else, but she didn't want to live by herself, so I went over there and lived with her. We got a dog, too.
Really?
We had a couple of cats.
You guys must have crazy parties on the weekends.
Huh?
You must have crazy parties on the weekends.
Oh, no. No more. I don't go partying anymore. I used to go every night out to some bars and like that, but no more.
You say something that you still drink Beck's?
Beck's, oh, that's good beer. I don't drink like I used to. I was about 130 pounds. Now I'm about 110 at the most. But I don't drink like I used to.
Yeah. That's something.
Down in Maryland, there's a lot of bars down there. I was always in the one. I had a motel room in back of the bar, 29 steps from the bar.
You had to remember.
I was on New Year's Eve, there's big parties there, and Halloween I think too. I went in about 10 o'clock New Year's Eve, and I come out next day at noon. They never closed, open all night. That's quite a place down there. I like to go down there. I went down there 3 or 4 times after I left. I quit Sikorsky because they wanted to put me on days. And I was working on cars, so I had finished the car first, so I said, I'll leave. They told me Friday, you start Monday. I said, I'll be leaving Monday.
Were they happy about that?
Well, they were kind of, thought I was crazy or something, I don't know.
What year was that?
Huh?
What year was that?
Well, 1970, I think.
You went to okay, that was later in your career.
Yeah.
So you finally quit there, and
Yeah.
you came back to Connecticut?
I came back to Sikorsky.
In Connecticut?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were working on, what were you doing there?
At Sikorsky? Well, on the big crane. We worked on crane.
The Sky Crane?
Sky crane, yeah.
No kidding. Well, as a side note, now that we have the S60, the prototype to the
Yeah.
Sky Crane, what do you think?
I never saw that.
You never saw that?
No, that was before I got there.
What did you think of that Sky Crane?
Well, it was an interesting airplane.
Didn't have wings, though.
No wings on, no. But that's all I had there. They had to work on what they had.
And when did you retire from Sikorsky, or did you quit?
I quit. Yeah. To work on the cars.
And that's what you've been doing, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
When
I worked on quite a few old cars, not my own. Some of them I own, about 3 of them, but other people too.
How many cars do you think you restored total?
Well, 3 of my own, and I don't know how many other people. Not too many, because it takes time. You work on one, it takes maybe a year or more.
Which one do you think is your favorite that you've redone?
The Hupmobile, the 33 Hupmobile. I showed you a picture of it, didn't
Yeah, I think so.
I got it here someplace.
Oh, it's over here, I think. But we'll get to that
Oh, yeah.
in a minute.
Any,
Got any more questions?
well, just the last question is any other, thoughts or comments you want to make about the Corsair or the restoration effort being done?
What would you like to see happen with this group, with this museum in the future?
Well, if they ever get to sell the building itself, it'll be a big deal for that. But the way it's going now, not many people want to come in.
Yeah, hopefully that'll change. Do you think this is an important part of our history that people should know more about?
About that, what the?
About the Corsair, about this area of the country and how it was manufacturing all this stuff, and it's not really now.
Well, Doc Gunther's doing his part. he gets the word around about the airplane in the museum, but they got to sell this whole building. You know, they should have another auction, shouldn't they, pretty soon?
Yeah, they're supposed to.
They mentioned their fall.
Right. They did say something. Always like it is around here, it's up in the air.
Yeah, I know. But that, it's a shame that they couldn't sell it. It would make a big difference as far as this museum. They finish it up.
Start getting kids in here.
Huh?
Start getting kids in here.
Yeah,
Do you think it's an important part of our history?
sure.
Why do you think it's important?
Well, this place has always had an airport here and a lot of aircraft. And once they get the airport straightened out, get that thing, the length and the end of the runway there. But I don't know if there's too many people in Stratford that don't seem to care. Some are pretty backward, I think. Not many, but some of them are. They don't realize what they're losing.
Absolutely.
If you were to go, face to face with one of these people who, these backward thinkers in Stratford, if you could say something to them face to face, what would you say?
Well, I tell them to get more interested in what they got here. The airport was here long before they were there, where most of them were there. You look at the pictures of the Lordship now, it's all houses all over the place. But they weren't even there when they had the airport back here in the late 20s, early 20s. They still got some of the hangars, a couple of hangars there, falling down.
Do you think we should save that hangar?
Well, one of them, yeah. I don't know, the best one. Which is the best one? The one furthest away from the windsock?
There's one that still has airplanes in it that's been redone.
Is that the bigger one?
The bigger one that has the roof that looks like Swiss cheese. That one is the one that's fallen.
Is that the one closest to the windsock?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that one needs with the Curtis still on the hangar.
Yeah. Well, they could tear one of them down and spend some money on the other one. Because they got the other hangars out in the middle of the field now. There was an article in the TV there now. Did you see it? Well, it was taken at the three-wing, I guess it was. It lasted about an hour. Had the people talking over there, old people. Some had no teeth. And it got interesting, but...
what was it about?
Well, they asked them all questions about what they did and what they thought about the airport. Yeah, after it was over, they repeated the whole thing again. Some channel that I've never heard of before.
You get News Channel 12?
It might have been 12. I'm not sure. No, I don't know what it was. My sister had it on. But it was pretty interesting to hear people talk. The way they talked.
I think we got everything that we need.
Yeah.
This is listen. Just having you sit down for this much time is it means a lot to us.
Yeah.
It just having you talk and shed some light on this time.
Well, I wish I could talk more about it, but I keep forgetting a lot of stuff.
I don't know, man. You're pretty sharp for for being 90. That's if anything, I'd pick you for 65, 70.
Yeah. Well, most of my family died about those years. All my uncles up in Maine, aunts, they're all dead. They were not too old. They were in their 70s, I guess. My father died, he was 58, I think, but even 60.
Do you feel lucky that you've made it this far and you have so much farther to go?
Well, I don't even think about that. He fell one day, and he hit his head on a curb, and he didn't last much longer after that. But my uncle up Maine, they lived about in their 70s, I guess. But I'm the oldest one my family that lived that long, this long.
How do you see day to day? Do you just keep your head down and just keep working the grindstone, or?
Oh, I work all 10 hours a day. Work what 4 or 5 hours here, and then I go home and work over there. Cut a big tree down last month. Big lilac tree. They put a new street in a new pavement in the street. They put big high curbs. I got to keep the Kaiser in the back in a plastic garage. So I go out the right side where it's clear. But when they put the curb in, that put it into that. So I had to take a big tree down on the other side where I can get the car out into the street.
Oh boy! Just for the record, what car do you drive to the museum?
Here?
Yeah.
The Pontiac.
What is it?
76 Tempest. It's like new. You know, I keep it up. I keep it in the garage.
And
You know, I bought it it had 32,000 miles when I bought it. Now it's got about 78. That was 20 years ago. So I don't put many miles on it.
it's just kind of your drive to. But
I just drive from here to home and back. That's about it.
it's definitely the coolest car in the parking lot.
Huh?
It's the coolest car in the parking lot.